Hi guys, Samantha from Jessama Tutorials here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create a modern art earring set. So first what you want to do is you want to take your chosen cutter and you just want to trim away any excess clay, and I'm going to be using pearl white today. And I'm trimming away this excess clay because I don't want to waste too much. And I'm not going to trim away too much that I'm going to be squished, but I'm just trimming away any unnecessary clay that I'm not going to be able to use anyway, like these wonky edges and things. Okay, so I should be able to fit 2 donuts. Okay, and I'm just going to be working on a piece of deli paper. And now we're going to be using certain metallics, so here are a few of the colours that I've chosen. I've chosen rust, I have bronze, and if you're looking for these, I got them from Linda's Art Spot, and I'll provide a link to her in the links below. I have some gold, I have some hematite, I've got some champagne, and you can use any metallic colours you want. And you don't need a lot, you just need a small amount. I also have some antique bronze, and finally I have copper, so let me just grab a piece of that. Okay, all really nice red colours, or earthy colours. So here, hopefully you can see all of those. So I'll just put them up at the top here. Okay, and now what you want to do is you want to take each piece and you want to take a tiny little bit, roll it out into a little ball. And then don't put it on your clay, just put it on a little deli sheet that you're resting your clay on. You can also rest your clay on some plain printing paper. And just put the balls next to it, because what we're going to do is we want to keep this white completely white. So I want to roll out these balls all separately, and then we'll put them on once we have cleaned our hands, because right now we're going to have some metallic pigments on our hands, and so if we touch the clay we will get those metallic pigments on them and we will end up with smeared white. So just roll the balls separately, and you can roll as many as you want, you can roll them as large as you want, as small as you want. It isn't that strict, just make as many as you want. Okay, so I've got all of these little pieces rolled out and ready to go. And now I've just put some finger cots on my fingers so that I'm not getting any dirt on my white. And if you do happen to get some by accident, like there, I got a little bit on, you can just use a craft knife to gently get rid of it. And actually the clay tends to stick to it, so you can just gently take a finger cut and generally it will just pick it up like that, and then you can just pop it onto the clay. And if it doesn't, you can just pick it up the usual way. But it's much easier using a finger cut because it's cleaner as well. So just go and place them around as you would like it, completely random. It's best if you can get it as random as possible. And then you might need some more or less. Just fill it out nice and evenly, and then when you are done, we will roll it flat. Okay, so here is how it should look. Nice and clean, and you've got all of these kind of spaced evenly, but randomly at the same time. Then take a piece of deli paper, or plain printing paper, whichever you want. And I'm just going to take off these finger cuts quickly, because I know they annoy you. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just gently going to press down. And I'm using the deli paper because again it is clean, you won't get any lint dust or things like that on it. And I'm pressing directly down on them so that they come out with almost like a pebbly shape. I don't want them stretched or anything like that, I just want this kind of bold pebble pattern. And if we used the roller right now, we would probably end up stretching them. Okay, then lift and flip your daily sheet, because if hopefully the camera's picking that up, but you can see that it's picked up some of the residue from the clay. So if you were to lift it and then put it straight back down, that would end up on the white. You want to flip it and put it down, and then we will start to burnish it. I'm not going to use my roller just yet. I'll use the palm of my hand first. And you can use plain printing paper instead of daily paper if you want. And I'm not sure I'm even going to need the roller, to be honest. The thing with the roller is it can leave roller lines where you have almost like hills and valleys. And I don't want to put this in the pasta machine because of the fact that we'll probably end up with a little bit of residue from the pasta machine. Even if you have cleaned your pasta machine, sometimes clay can get on your piece, and then we're going to have quite a mess because I don't want anything to make the white dirty. And again, if you're a little bit nervous about the white being having to be perfect, you could swap the background for a metallic colour and then put little white dots on it if you wanted to. That would also look quite interesting. Again, you can swap colours around, you can do anything you want. It's a really simple technique. Okay, and now this should be completely flat. It's almost, I'm going to bring over the roller to get just flat. And I'm not going to be rolling, I'm just going to be dragging it across. And this should smooth out any hills or valleys. Okay, and then if you feel it through here, you should be able to feel that it's flat. And then lift up your daily paper, and here is how it looks. Okay, and I'm pretty happy with that. I'd like to spend maybe a little bit more time on it. Maybe just a touch more time. So I'll smooth it over a little bit more, and then we can start cutting out our beads. Okay, and so I'm pretty happy with that. Now what I want to do is I'm just going to gently lift this up. And I actually might need to use my tissue blade quickly. Because we have burnished it quite nicely onto the daily paper. So sometimes you need to just use your tissue blade to slide underneath. Gently work that off. There we are. And then I've got a piece of pearl white that's been run out to probably about 1 millimeter thick, and my original sheet here is probably around 3 millimeters thick. I'm just going to take that pearl white, pop this on there, and just use this to smooth it on nicely. Okay. And now that should come off nice and easy. Okay. And so now I'm just going to pop this onto my tile. And I'm very carefully going to just smooth it onto there, because I I want it to be nicely stuck to the tile before I cut out my beads. Okay, then I'm going to take my donut and go place it down. And I'm going to press. And just make sure that you press nice and hard to make sure you have a nice clean cut. And then lift. I'm just doing that very carefully. Okay, and that got a little bit stuck in the cutter. That's fine. Means I didn't press it onto my ceramic tile hard enough. So, just going to burnish the side a little bit more, make sure that it's stuck properly. Position that and cut straight down. And lift up. Okay, and that one's stuck as well. That's fine. You can get it out very easily. And then just place it back in the hole and gently smooth with your fingers. And lift. Okay, now at this point you might have some very slight smears of colour. You don't have to worry about that because they don't go very deep, so during the sanding process that would be very easy to remove. Okay, and now I want to keep both of these. I want to keep the little circles and I want to keep the hoops. So you can either take your tile out and put it in the oven, or if you have a heat gun, which is the preferable thing to do, you can set it. So I'll just use the heat gun, but if you have only an oven, put it in for about 15 minutes at its recommended temperature to set it. And before you do that, just forgot, you need to smooth out any fingerprints. So just use your finger, and at this point don't worry if a little bit of dirt or grime gets on here. That's very easy to remove. So you can see I got a little bit of hairs over there. That's fine. And that's all you need. Now you want to let these cool completely because they're quite hot at the moment. And in the meantime, what you're going to do is you're going to roll out a sheet of the hematite because I want to make a little disc. And once they're cooled, take a tissue blade and just scrape away a little bit of this excess clay before you pick it up. And gently pick up one, and because we did it with the heat gun, the bottom is still raw, which is what I want. And just gently take that out. We'll need to do a little bit of cleanup, and then just place them upside down. And do the same with the other, but again, just remove any of this excess because it can get onto the bottom or the back. So in the place that you want to lift it up from, in the direction that you want to lift it up from, just scrape away those leftovers. And then just go around with your finger, and those should come off very easily because there's hardly any. And then lift out your little piece. And now we have these two donuts. I'm just going to put those off to the side. And we have these two cute pieces. So what we're going to do with these is we're just going to gently smooth the edges. And because it's been semi-cured, it will hold its shape, which is always a good thing while you do that. And do the same for the others. You will also do this for your donuts that you've made. Okay, so I'm going to be making two separate earring designs. So this one, I'm going to have this at the top and a half oval at the bottom. And then with my donuts over here, I'm going to have this at the bottom and a little, my largest mini circle at the top. So for both of those, I'm going to be using hematite, Cernit Metallic. And I'm actually going to use my tile, and I'm just going to burnish this onto my tile because I want it stuck there. There we are. Okay, and then I'm going to be taking one of my clay texture stamps, and this is my sand texture stamp. And I'm just going to gently roll that onto the clay for a nice sandy texture. There we are. Okay, and that should be properly stuck to my tile. So first I'm going to take my two half semi-ovals and I'm going to cut one and I'm going to cut another one. Okay, and this should lift up pretty easily. And we'll roll it out again to take our semicircles. And now again, I don't want to lift these up in case I distort them, so I'm just going to leave them there for the moment, and I'm just going to roll out the rest of my hematite. Okay, and then I'm going to take that, and again I'm going to burnish that to my tile, grab my texture stamp, and press. Grab my little semicircle, okay, and there we go, we've got all four elements. Then I'll grab my heat gun. Again, you could put this in the oven for about 15 minutes, but if you have a heat gun, we'll just set it. There we are, and that's all it takes. And those should be baked on the top. I will let them sit for around 3 minutes to cool, and then we can finish them off. Okay, so now that they've cooled off, we'll just quickly lift them up, and I'm actually going to bring over a thinner blade. There we are. And you can still see that it's very raw on the back, and that will need some tidying in just a second. And it's also a little bit warm, so it's not completely cool, so the backs are still going to be a little bit squishy. Okay, just pop those to the side, lift this out the way, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a piece of deli paper and gently press these onto it. If you have any bits and pieces on the back, gently scrape those off. As best you can. and then press it onto that deli paper. Okay, and then I'm going to flip, and I'm going to smooth the backs. And the deli paper, you'll be able to see what's going on the back. As you smooth. Now just be careful because these can crack when you're doing this. And I'm just going to lift one, see how it looks. So it's much better. But I want to bake them on the deli paper just like this, so that they're nice and smooth and not going to have any shiny spots. And the same goes for these. I'm going to bring them over, their backs are still raw. I've smoothed out their backs, and I'm just going to press down onto the deli paper. And they will bake on there so that they have a nice smooth back. And I'm going to bake these for an hour at Primo's recommended temperature. And I'm also going to take another piece, and I'm just going to put it over the top to prevent any scorching on that white. Okay, so they are out of the oven, and I've given them some time to cool. And so these ones are ready to go and sand, but these ones I want to put a backing on. Now I don't want to put a backing on while they were still so sticky, because the sooner that I got was really nice and fresh, and I don't want to leach it. So these are ready to put a backing on. So I'm just going to grab those, flip my greaseproof paper, and I've got a piece of black here, and I'm actually going to use another piece. I'm just going to place it with the nice clean side down. Okay, and then I'm going to stick these each onto the backing. Okay, and now these pieces were rolled out on my thickest setting, which is around 3mm thick, and this was rolled out to about 1mm thick. So they should be about the same thickness as before. And now you could try using the cutters to cut this out, but oftentimes I find that it's distorted just a little bit. And so I tend to, if I've already baked a piece, I like to just trim it out with my craft knife rather than use a cutter. And I'm sticking close to the edge, and that's another thing, you get a nice clean cut instead of getting a little bit of a smear from the cutters. Okay, then once trimmed out, just lift that out of the way, put it to the side. Lift up each of these, and I'm going to just smooth these edges. And I'm using Primo Black. I'm just going to smooth the sides. If the cernit hadn't been a little bit on the sticky side, I probably would have done the backs while it was still raw, like I did with the other earring components. It was a little sticky, so I'm just doing it separately. And I'll sand the others while this is in the oven. Okay, almost done. Just smooth it out. Okay, and then you want to smooth the fingerprints too. like so. Okay, and then I'm going to put this on a piece of greaseproof paper off to the side, and I'll repeat with all of these, and then I'll bake it for about half an hour at Primo's recommended temperature. Okay, so while those are in the oven, we are going to sand these. So we'll start by spraying a bit of water, get them all nice and damp. And now I'm going to be working with wet dry sandpaper first, because I don't want to put resin on these. And so I'm going to start with a 400, and this needs to be a little bit more wet. I'm going to start with a 400, and I'm going to work my way up to a 1200. And then once I have finished with the wet dry sandpaper, I'm going to move on to polishing papers. So you'll sand the front, you will also sand the sides, and you'll sand the back as well. And make sure that you get rid of any bumps or anything like that, because when we buff, we want it to look perfectly clean. Okay, so I have sanded them and they look much cleaner now. So hopefully you can see that. They're also completely flat, because I was quite aggressive with the sandpaper to make sure that they're completely flat. And then I also took these out of the oven and I've just quickly sanded the backs as well. So the next step is going to be going onto the polishing papers, and I'm going to start with my 400 grit. And basically it's the exact same as the wet dry sandpaper, just that you don't have to sand it in water. You can if you want, but I find it works better when it is dry. And the thing with these is they remove very little of the material, and like their name says, they basically are just there to polish up your piece. So I start with a 400 and I'm going to work my way up to my 8000, and then when we're done, these should be really nice and shiny. And so spend the time that's needed to get these looking really beautiful, because those metallic pieces, you want those to be really nice and shiny. And the thing with this piece is it's fairly simple, so the finish needs to be perfect. Okay, so I have finished sanding them. You can see how beautiful they are now, and that's because it's taken so much time to get them nice and glossy. So you can see each of them has a pretty good shine, and this is before buffing, of course. And now these ones, I've decided to leave the backs matte. I'm going to give them a little bit of a buff, but I'm going to keep them matte. And the fronts I'm also going to give a bit of a buff, but I'm going to keep it all matte so that it's shiny versus textured. So I'll bring over our buffing wheel and I'm using a Dremel. There we are, and that's what it looks like buffed. And now I'm just going to buff up around. And you can see how beautiful that looks. Now I'm quickly going to buff up this semi-oval. There you go. And that will have just shined up the sides, cleaned up the back, and made the front nice and clean too. Now what I want to do, so I just want to compare the two, so you can see which one is buffed and which one is not. So you can see that this one is buffed. It's a very smallish difference when you're doing a really good job with the sandpaper, but there definitely is a difference. And hopefully you'll be able to see it in this one. You can see it just has a much more glossy shine. And I might just say quickly while I'm here, if you could see them in person, you would see that the Primo's buffed up less than the Cernit. So the Cernit buffs up really, really well. It's absolutely stunning. And this one, you can just see that the front doesn't really look much different. The sides do look different. This one's quite matte, while this one's got a bit of a satin finish. And the same with the back. So now what I want to do is I want to put some Renaissance wax on these. And this is just going to shine them up just a little bit more. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of that Renaissance wax. And I'm going to just rub a little bit on, and the buffing wheel will take it where it needs to go. And I'm going to do the same with this, and this should help the texture pop out quite a bit more. And then we can compare those to the ones that have not been buffed yet. Okay, let's see how they look now compared to the ones that haven't been buffed. So now you can see that there is a definite difference. It looks absolutely beautiful and glossy. So that is the Renaissance wax. Although it adds just a touch more, it is a definite difference. Let's see what these ones look like. So it just brings out the shine, and it catches the light perfectly, while this one doesn't so much. And with these, it highlights the colour just a little bit more and gives it just a little bit of a shine. There's not much difference, but there's a little bit. And the same with the backs. It's not a little bit shiny. Same with these. It will darken it a little bit more, and it will highlight it just a tad more. So these ones I'm going to go and put Renaissance wax on, just like I did for the others. And these ones I'm going to put to the side, and then we can assemble our earrings. Okay, so here are our pieces, and we now want to drill them. So we will start with the semicircle, and you want to find the top of that circle, and you want to drill fairly close to the edge, probably about 1 millimeter close to the edge. Now if you haven't baked your pieces properly, this is isn't a great thing to do, because your piece will break, and this is why you need to make sure that you bake your pieces properly, because it means that you'll be able to drill a hole nice and near the edge, which will make slipping our jump ring through much easier. And now I'm using a pin drill, and it's a manual drill, which means that I don't have to use one of those automatic ones which make a noise and are not exactly the safest. There we are. You've drilled through your hole, get rid of that stuff, and then position it in such a way that you like it. I quite like there. So that's where I'm going to drill. And now the reason we're drilling fairly close to the edge is because it makes slipping our jump ring through much easier. And also you don't want to make your piece too thick. I make mine a minimum of 4 millimeters thick, otherwise jump rings can give trouble too, because you're drilling a straight hole that a round jump ring has to go through, and generally the curve on the jump ring doesn't agree too well to a straight line. So the shorter your straight line, the better. And there we go, that one's drilled. So that's one earring almost ready to go. Those 2 holes will join up. Now we just need to drill one more. Just gonna line it up. And drill another one. And now I don't want to be piercing holes in my beads before they're baked, because it is quite problematic, because it will distort your bead. So I definitely recommend drilling after you've baked and finished them off, because it just comes off a lot more professional looking. Okay. There we are, and that's one earring set ready to go. Put that off to the side. Now I'm going to do this one, and basically it's almost the exact same. I'm going to drill a hole at the top of the donut and then drill 2 holes on either end of the circle. There we are. Now we are ready to assemble our earrings. So I'm going to grab 4 jump rings. You need 2 for each earring and 2 earring wires. And all you do is you open up your jump ring, slip it through the next one, close it up, and put that join inside of one of your pendants. Okay. Then grab the next jump ring, and I'm just going to open it up a little bit more. Pop that through the top, pop your ear wire on, and close up, and slide that inside your bead. And there's your one type of earring. Put that off to the side, and it's basically the exact same for the next style. It's just different shapes. Pop your jump ring in to both of your beads, close it up, slip it inside, open up your next jump ring, and I'll slide the ear wire on. Slide your jump ring in, close your jump ring, slip it inside. And there's your earring. Really simple. So let me bring over the 2 sets. I've already done the other one for this one. So let me swing those around so you can actually see what they look like. There, let me zoom out quickly. There we are. And here are the other ones. So I'm really happy with how these turned out. Really simple, really easy. You can do them in a bunch of different shapes, you can do them in a bunch of different colours. You could change the colour of the texture, you could change the texture as well. You could change the different dots, you could swap the metallic around with the white, so that the metallic is the backing and the white are the little dots. So there's lots of things to play around with this. And so I hope that this tutorial was helpful to you, and if it was, please do let me know. And let me know if you like the style of earring. It's a new style that I'm playing around with. I've seen lots of people use this kind of style, so if you guys like the tutorial, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.